Welcome to the Rural Dispatch, the podcast delivering stories from rural America. I'm your host, Allie Behrens. Headquartered in rural Iowa, I help run a nationwide livestock transportation company, and I'm here to bring you stories from the people who help shape this industry and our rural communities. Whether you're a trucker, livestock producer, or rural entrepreneur, this show is for you. Each week, we explore the realities of rural business life, from the highways to the fields and everything in between. So buckle up and let's dive into today's episode. Today's guests are James and Megan Holz. They are the owners of Iowa Cover Crop, farmers, cattle feeders, hog feeders.
Oh yeah, we have hogs.
Do you forget about those?
Yes.
Not on Tuesday.
Not on Tuesday. You could still forget about them and it's not going to affect you. Not even Tuesday.
You asked me where they're going. I said Waterloo. He's like, how far is that? I said, it's just to Waterloo. I had no idea how far Waterloo was.
Well, no, you said, what time you think we should load? And I go, well, I don't know. I'm not real sure how far it is. You go, well, it's just to Waterloo. I'm like, well, that still doesn't do a lot for me.
The hog bills are just not big enough to remember. So
No.
we forget about them.
They're really disappointing when you sell them. A load of hogs only worth $27,000.
Whole load.
Whole load. We have 750, and well, we did. We're selling them. And when we sell them, they won't gross enough money to buy one load of feeder cattle.
But how many pigs can you buy?
Oh, lots.
Oh, so many pigs.
So many pigs. So many worthless pigs.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
So are you going to stay in the pig business?
Yeah, it's kind of a hobby.
I find it annoying
I'm
because
sure
you get a
do.
bill every time the truck dumps feed.
Yeah, Megan does all the work. She pays all the bills. So, like, she literally does all the work on pigs. I saw these pigs once this time.
Where did the pig saga start? Like, what? All of a sudden, one day you're like, you know what? My neighbor has this empty barn.
Yeah. He called me. He's like, you want to fill it with hogs?
I
I
think
said,
let's
sure.
just fill it.
I was like, yeah. And I brought my dad with me. He's like, what's the worst thing that happened? They can all die? I'm like, that's a worst case. And still not going to be that big of a deal. When I got into them, they were dirt cheap. They were like $25, $30 a pop.
Right. Because do you get them in as feeder pigs?
As feeder pigs. Yeah.
What is a feeder pig worth today? Is it 90 or 100 bucks?
Like 80, high 80s, low 90s.
Okay.
So they're kind of expensive.
Yeah. Well,
This round's going to lose money. Don't tell Megan that. She's already pissed about the pigs.
There's so much work on the paper.
Yeah. If they did monthly billing, it'd be easier.
Yeah. It's like
It's
every
like-
week.
Yeah.
oh.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that's how that... Well, you probably didn't realize that.
No,
going
I had
in
no
there.
idea. It's like, oh, we're going to feed hogs. Oh, great.
Everyone's always interested about the pigs. And it's really not that interesting, though.
Well, I think it's interesting because not a lot of people do it anymore. Not owning their own.
I mean, everything's corporate when it comes to a hog. And I think you're right. That's why people are so interested in hearing about hogs. It's because farmers do not do it anymore. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, so we've had no problem buying feeder pigs. It's just as easier than feeder cattle. We sell them through producers. Also, super easy. This is only like our fourth round. So like we went through like one kind of mild train wreck where I bought some privately. Now I go through like a big Canadian feeder pig broker, I think. The last ones, not these, but the ones before, they came out of Breda. So I had to go from a guy from Manitoba, and I got cattle from Breda.
Efficient.
Hogs from Breda.
Hogs from Breda. Yeah. Pigs. So I was like, you gotta be, he's like, oh, it's not that far from you. He's like, in Breda. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like I'm wiring money to Canada so I can do business with some dude from Breda. That's the way the world works.
Interesting. Small world.
Yes, we have hogs. Hog farmers.
Would you say that if somebody wanted to get into livestock, ultimately feeding cattle, would hogs be a good place to start?
I mean, they're cheap and there's not as much risk. The margins, I think, are tighter, but maybe not tighter because you're just dealing with lower numbers. So it's like not as much. Feeding hogs has made me more cognizant of what's going on in the cattle market because I'm like looking the relationship between the two.
Mm-hmm. Is marketing them the same? And as far as risk management and everything, I mean, is there a correlation there, or do you handle it differently than you do with the cattle?
This is going to sound horrible. I don't do any risk management on the hogs. because it doesn't really matter.
They're worthless.
They're worthless. When I first started, they're $25 for a feeder pig, and I had like 5 left over, and they're like, well, you can take them to this buying
Like
station.
a buying station.
And they're like, what are they worth? I called the guy, like, what are they worth? Like 25. There's like, oh, they're worth like $30 as fat pigs. I'm like, well, that's not even worth me driving to Des Moines. $150. Anyway, a fat pig's worth about $200 today. So it's money, but not, it's not the same amount of risk as cattle. But I have so few. I mean, if I had 20,000, it's different, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to get more hogs.
I would not like to get more hogs.
Well, James,
I'm on record. No more hogs.
I feel like we tried and you bailed on me.
I know. Because I have no idea what I'm doing, Smoke. I was 1 round in. And
then you called and you're like, there's this guy. He's got these barns. And I think we should go look at them. I'm like, okay. You going to come pick me up?
I called him, and then he's like, nope, someone else went in there.
Oh.
So I did call him.
Okay.
But I have trust issues. I hear all these horror stories with hogs that, like, no one takes care of them, which I think actually does happen. Like, there's buildings, and, like, no one takes care of them at all, and they just go a long time, and there's dead pigs piled up everywhere. And one thing I found out about hogs, when they die, they just die. I mean, there is nothing you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You don't walk around and treat a sick hog.
No. You just drag them out.
Yes.
We'll feed more hogs. They're too expensive right now. They're $90
Yeah, I mean, $90 for a feeder pig.
Can't afford them.
I'm not interested in that. But I'm also not really interested in paying $2,500 for a feeder calf.
Yeah.
So, like a pick your poison deal right now.
Yeah, I mean, the hogs are cheaper, but it's like, you know what you're doing, That's probably why you're not hauling, I guess like you do have a reefer, but you're not hauling produce out of California today because your business is feeding cattle or hauling cattle. And maybe there's another better value somewhere. But if you aren't really comfortable with it, then it's hard to go like all in.
It is.
That's a good point. Stick with what you know.
And that's why I say my hog thing's just a hobby. But maybe I'll turn in more of that.
Never know.
You never know.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so hogs have been your latest new venture. Let's work our way backwards. When did Iowa Cover Crop start?
My business partner, Bill Frederick, and him and I graduated high school together. We graduated college. We went home and farmed. And then we started Iowa Cover Crop in 2014. Yeah, 2014. And so, we started that business as just basically a hobby. Our goal was to make $30,000. And I don't know if we made our goal, but we wanted to see if we could make $30,000. And so that was our goal. We made it in a year or two
That'd
later.
been a nice little extra spending cash for the year.
It was.
We didn't have any kids.
We didn't have any kids.
I mean, that's a big deal, right? Extra $30,000. So
What'd you do with it?
With the 30,000?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we ever actually
Nothing
saw.
wrong.
We never
No.
saw the 30,000.
It just went right back into
Yeah.
more
It
cover
just-
crops.
Yeah.
This is how that pig thing's going to go.
Yeah,
if you
one-
ever make money, just buy more.
One time we sat at the cafe and we split up some money once. But since then, it's just, I don't know, we don't really see any money out of it. We just
Well,
pile it back in.
That's
you used
what
to
I
be
mean.
obviously it rolled back in because you're still doing it and
Yeah.
you're growing. So
Yeah, so
something's
now,
working.
so now we have 5 employees.
How did it
Yeah.
start? Did it start out of somebody's garage or shop? Or
Yeah, we were just drinking beer. And I was selling seed. Another friend of mine from college, I was like a specialty seed dealer for them. And then Bill was raising wheat and rye on his own farm. And we kind of just joined forces because we had a lot of synergies. Anyway, I was selling stuff to Bill. Bill was selling stuff to me. We're like, well, this is dumb that we're doing all this paperwork in between. So we started this business really not serious whatsoever.
No, not serious at all.
In an LLC, one person has to develop 51%, one's 49%. Like that's how it has to work. Anyway, someone's had a majority. It's like, well, we couldn't decide who's majority. No one wanted to put like an extra $1 in. Like obviously that would be a horrible investment. So we played a game of Risk. We played it with the girls, and whoever wins between Bill and I gets to be the majority shareholder. So I won.
What is
Yeah.
the game of Risk? Is that a card game?
No, it's like a board
Board game
game.
where you take over the world.
Oh,
Yeah, world domination.
Yeah, world domination.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically the same as Seed.
right.
It's a business game. So yeah, now we have Megan, Melissa, both work in the business. Bill and I both work in the business. We have Josh, who's from Carroll here, and Trevor, who's from Jefferson. So yeah, Megan works basically full time in it. Melissa is probably part. Bill and I are about quarter, maybe sometimes more.
And Trevor and Josh are there full time.
Yeah, and they're full time. So we have a warehouse south of Jefferson. We sell everything but corn or soybeans. So if you're looking for waterway mix, pasture.
I love that you have birdseed.
Oh,
we have a lot of birdseed.
a lot of sunflower seeds.
A lot of black oil sunflowers.
Did you say it's cheaper than going to Baumgart's?
Oh, way cheaper.
Bird enthusiasts, you know where
30,
to go now.
40% cheaper. We have a bunch of sunflowers that are out of germination, which means we can't sell them for seed, but they eat the same for the birds. So we are looking to get rid of those.
There you go.
But I kind of want to talk about how it started. When you and Bill started it, then you had a little warehouse and gallery,
yep.
I believe, correct?
Yep.
For the first 5 years, there was nothing.
Yeah. So,
no infrastructures, 2 guys and 2 cell phones.
And we had a little, Bill bought this little, we went on Del Peterson auction and bought this little clipper cleaner. They're like wooden cleaners. So he went up to South Dakota and he spent $10,000 on these 2 cleaners, which was like
a huge deal.
A lot of fucking money for us because we had no money. And he didn't even ask permission if I think back to it. He just bought these things because he wanted them. Wanted to spend half of my money. Anyway, he bought these clipper cleaners. He went up to Northeast South Dakota, and the story goes that he's on the interstate and he's got these 2 cleaners, and I kind of imagine he's got them ratchet strapped down or whatever, and some guy is flagging him down on the interstate. And he's like, oh gosh, something's dragging, right? We got a problem, So he pulls over, and this guy goes and he's like, hey, I'll give you $2,000 more for these cleaners than what you paid for them. And this guy on the interstate is trying to buy his cleaners right there. Bill's like, no, we're going to keep them. And Bill tells me the story, and I said, and you didn't sell them? Why didn't you sell them right then and there on the interstate? So we bought these cleaners. We redid his corn crib. He had like a wood corn crib. So we kind of took a Sawzall to it and made it so we could clean seed out of it and started selling seed out of that clipper cleaner. And we worked really hard. That's how we got started. And so then we started there, and we got like it got way out of control. Like we sold way more stuff than we could actually process. So we knew that there was this guy in Gallery that had a seed cleaning business. So we called him, and it was like Thursday afternoon, and we are in desperate shape. We like had 5 loads of rye coming, no place to go for it, no way to clean it, no good way to clean it. And we call this guy, and we're like, hey, would you clean some seed for us? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like, come up and look at my facility. So we come up, we look at the facility, and Bill and I are like, all right, we have to make a deal with him because, we're out of options.
Yeah,
we're out of options.
Like Bill's running every night, like all day long. Like, he's cleaning seed 24/7.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
He's running from 7 to like 2 a.m. with headlamps on.
With these little feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
From 1952.
From 1950. And he's got like fans, like jerry rigged on them, so he can get like more cleanings, like add a little capacity, by like 5 bushels an hour or whatever it is. We go up there, and Jim's got nothing going on. He's got this great facility, and we're going to take the deal. And he has a little inventory. This is probably the best deal Bill and I ever made. We go there, and he's like, I forget what it was, 75 cents. I'm just making a number up because I don't remember. He's like, I want 75 cents a bushel clean. I was like, give Bill and I a minute. That's a little rich for our blood. And like, we have to take the number. There's no doubt about it. And we're like, just give us a minute. We need to talk about it. And Bill's like, I don't even know how he does it with a straight face. He's like, would you take 60? And he's like, yeah, I got nothing going on. When your first truck's going to show up? It was like 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, in an hour and a half. He's in Fort Dodge. Just like trading feeder cattle. Where are they at? On the road. So we went to that little place in Gallery. It was working good. So we leased the place, inherited an employee. His name is Phil Fevold. And it's like, all right, Phil kind of comes with the place, and you got to lease the place. So we leased the place and ran it.
You're pretty willy-nilly at this point.
We had no idea what we were doing.
No, I mean, could you have started a business with less of a plan? I'm not quite sure. There was zero plan.
We always joke around like someday we're going to be a real seed business. That's getting closer.
Oh, no.
So we leased this place. Everything's kind of rocking and rolling. We cleaned a bunch of seed. Then we hired Trevor.
I had quit my job, too.
You had, yep. And so we kind of like inherited an employee, Phil. He came with the place. And then Trevor was going to help one afternoon. And then he hasn't left yet. So he's been working since whenever that was, 2022. So we're rocking and rolling. Then a tornado came, and what year was that?
2021.
2021 levels it. Nothing left. Zero. And so then we're kind of back to square one. Like we're at this, major shit or get off the pot, do we just quit?
Was this a sign?
Or do we redo something?
We didn't have anything really invested. We were leasing it. The only assets we had were those 2 cleaners.
Cost you $10,000 8 years ago.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Yeah, we had
auger,
do we have a
maybe.
forklift? I don't know. It may not.
No, I don't think we own the forklift. I don't know. We had like nothing on the balance sheet. It was just making cash, which is great.
That was good.
Good times.
Yeah.
But you really could have walked away.
Oh, yeah. You could have walked away and
had
been
no
like,
issues.
that was fun. We
Yeah.
had fun. That was successful. We're done.
And so then we decided to reinvest like a bunch of idiots. And this was 2021. And so if you remember, there was always supply chain shortages, post-COVID kind of problems.
You know,
Interest
nothing
was the
cheap.
only thing that
Yeah.
was cheap.
Yeah.
And so we found a spot, but then we still had to operate that next year. And this place wasn't going to get rebuilt. It was done. We found a Quonset building at a co-op. So we're building our facility south of Jefferson, and then we're operating out of this Quonset building in Rippey. And it didn't have electricity,
No internet.
no internet.
Very unreliable cell phone service.
Yeah, because it was in a Quonset building. So we put all the seed in there. And I mean, it was not that big.
Oh,
And
so small.
we did about $3 million in sales that fall out of that Quonset. And we would always say, it's like, man, once we get electricity, we're really going to kick ass.
the limit.
Sky's the limit. You should see us with electricity. Melissa bought boxes of like these hand tickets.
Hand
We would just do
tickets.
hand tickets. One time we were loading a customer and like a woodchuck popped out of the seed. We're like, ooh. Like mice I can get. Woodchucks, they're big.
The Quonset building got torn down after we left.
We left, the Quonset building got torn down. But Landis was very generous to let us use the Quonset.
I mean, they rented it to
Yeah,
us.
I mean, It was pretty expensive
we had to
rent
pay
for what it
for
was.
Like, if you think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So then we built the facility and now we have all the things and
Okay.
the internet.
We have internet.
Now, do you clean at your current
No,
facility or do you hire all your cleaning done?
Yeah. So it was kind of like a budget concern. So we hire all our cleaning done now because we just don't have enough room and really we don't have enough capacity. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
cleaning capacity out there, actually.
Yeah. To build a cleaning facility would have been a much longer road for us to go down. And there is qualified infrastructure already out there. So we
Right.
went the route of using third parties.
When we were cleaning ourselves, what was it called? Startup brain, where you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And we were cleaning ourselves and we shouldn't have been doing that. We were so naive. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah. I mean, but you learned a lot doing it.
We learned a lot. Yeah.
When you see and do the process, I think that helps you when you're going to monitor your third
Right.
parties. Like you know
absolutely.
what
Very
that
true.
process is. If there's an issue at our vendors, we can go down there and say, well, here are some things we've done, or here's what you should think about. Like we've done it. It's not like we're just,
Like, hey, I've been there.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
Don't make this mistake.
Yeah.
It's no different like startup brain with my pigs. Remember when the first time I loaded the pigs? I'm just like, all right, this is how my brain thinks. It's like, let's jam as many pigs as possible on this thing because cattle, it's like, if you can haul a 60,000 pound load, it's better than a 48,000 pound load, right? But we did that with the hogs, remember?
I do.
Oh, why didn't you say,
Customer's
James,
always
you
right.
idiot? Oh, 250 pound pig, 50,000 pound load, a light load. Let's put 200 on. Seems easy math to me.
So that was a learning lesson. And then do you also remember at the end, there was 30 head left. You had to go all with your
Yes.
snack. And I was like, was that really worth it? Can we not just split these loads up?
I took my boy with me to the packing plant and it was on a Sunday and no one was paying attention. There was a big sign that said, no kids allowed. And I was like, come on, Lee, let's go check this stuff out. Because we're only going to be here once. We're never going to be here again. If we get kicked out, we get kicked out. And so we got to check stuff out and he was looking at all the pigs. So yeah, maybe it was worth it.
Yeah, well, that's true. You're absolutely right. All experiences are learning experiences.
Yep. Now we ship 140.
Yep.
145.
And nothing dies unless you might have a random one here or there. But in this instance, less is more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that's the only way you learn, though.
Like most lessons
Yeah.
are hard lessons learned.
Absolutely.
And
that was in the seed business, it's been the same thing. We'll get whipped on something. And we're like, well, yeah, that wasn't a very good decision.
Yeah, there's a situation every year. Something comes up that's different than the last year that we learn from and we change. And we're still small enough where we can be nimble and make those changes and move forward from them.
The difference between the seed business and even like the cattle or hogs or farming or whatever it is, there's not very many people in it. There's mentors, but no one that's going to be like, oh, you probably shouldn't be doing that. You're kind of in on your own.
What do you guys all sell? I mean, obviously it's Iowa cover crop. So your big sales are cover crops, I'm assuming.
Yep.
I mean, are the options endless? Like, I know a month or two ago when I talked to you, you're like, we're going to get big in on grass seed. Grass seed?
And we have been. Oh, yeah. Lawn seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might have done a disservice to ourselves naming our company the way we did because we sell a lot more in cover crops now. We sell waterway mixes, lawn seed,
alfalfa, native seed,
like CRP. Basically anything you can think of other than vegetables, like something in your home garden.
Like
and
radishes?
We sell radishes, but not the same type of radishes.
Please clarify.
So we sell daikon radishes, which I don't know what the type of radishes you put in your garden. Do you know?
You can still eat the daikon radish, but it's not
really
red
made for
radish
human consumption.
It's not made for the human consumption in the United States.
Yeah.
Speaking of United States, have you got into any exporting?
We sold some to Hawaii. Does that count?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. How's
There's
it get
no
over
tariffs
there?
on Hawaii.
I don't know how it got over there. I mean, was it a whole pallet of seed?
Barley.
It was barley.
It was a pallet of barley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is
One
not
pallet.
A pallet. I asked them. They were using it for fodder. Have you seen like the fodder deals where they run water in like a greenhouse? And you know, like when you put a lot of soybeans or like rye or like a small grain along your bin and then like it grows on the cement and you can take the whole, like it's like a whole thing of whatever it is, right? So they grow these in Hawaii, this fodder, and then they feed it to livestock. I don't know if it's sustainable. They say it's more sustainable. I have no idea.
We haven't sold another pallet to Hawaii, so I don't know if it
might have flopped.
It might have flopped.
It was only 3 or 4 months ago, though.
We'll see. Well, we'll see.
I mean, the pallet was only worth about $1,000, not even.
I have to imagine the shipping to get it there was much more expensive than the seed was even
actual
worth.
Seed.
Yeah,
Right.
I think, which is wild.
So there's no exporting, but I will tell everybody something that we have done for James is we do put stuff on the rail.
We have taken stuff off of the rail from Canada lots of times.
We are importers.
We are importers, yeah.
Importers.
Oh.
We import rye from Canada. A significant portion of our rye does come from Canada.
We have seed from South America. We have seed from Thailand.
Egypt. What came from Egypt? I know something.
Berseem clover.
Oh, yeah, Berseem clover.
We'll get like those emails that they aren't scam emails. We're like, Mr. Holtz, kind regards. And they're like, we have an amazing deal on a bulk shipment of, that was from India, whatever.
Hairy vet.
Hairy vet. And it's like, oh, okay.
You're like, yep, sign me up.
Yeah, this sounds like
Send it over.
Please wire 100,000 USD to this. We've even been in international wiring scheme, lost a bunch of money, international wiring fraud.
That's true.
I forgot about that one. We had that.
That was one of those things where you learn an important
Yeah,
lesson.
exactly. So yeah, we don't export anything, but maybe someday.
But you do sell all across the U.S.
Yeah, mostly in any state that touches Iowa. That's where the majority of our sales occur and where we're focused. Generally just because that's what we know. And with cover crops and some of these other things that we sell is you really have to know like the soils and what's going to work for that producer. And so I'd say from a sales perspective, we know this area and what we grow for cash crops. So it's pretty easy for us as farmers ourselves to make those recommendations to customers in our area.
Yeah.
That's been our focus. Like we don't have a national sales team.
Because we're livestock people. We target livestock people.
Yeah, I mean, they just use so many other different seeds in their operation because they're forage and they can actually use the cover crops versus like a row crop farmer can't always get the value out of those.
What is the advantage of a cover crop?
I mean, a cover crop is armoring the soil from wind erosion, water erosion, but then at the same time, it is getting any excess nutrients that you didn't use throughout the year and scavenging them and bringing them, making them more available. And then it's adding carbon onto your soil. So anytime you add more carbon on your soil, you have more organic matter. More organic matter means more yield. So if you think of this monoculture system that we're in right now, corn only grows for 100 days. How many days are in a year, Smoke?
365.
So we have 265 days that corn's not growing here. Now, how many growing degree days do you think we get in Iowa? So out of 365, how many days out of the 365 do you think can be growing?
275? 300?
I asked Allie.
Well, I suppose
it depends on what you're growing, but I mean, you're planting some of this stuff in the wintertime, so I don't know.
Is it growing in the winter?
I assume it is.
See, she's more right than you are. So I was at a seminar.
Typically.
I was at a seminar with a guy from Saskatchewan, and in Saskatchewan, they have like 340 growing days out of a year. I bet you Iowa's like 350. So
when it's -40, we're probably not growing.
Probably not growing, but when it's 0, something's happening. Molecular growth is happening of some sort. Cells are being split. We are wasting 200 days a year of the sun because that's the only free resource we have is the sun.
Yeah, you always say that. The only free thing is sun.
I always say, since you're a banker, Allie, I never like to pay my interest because the only thing free at the bank is interest on the interest. If you don't pay the interest, you don't pay interest on not paying the interest.
Oh.
You see what I mean, Smoke?
Okay.
So I don't pay that till the end, no matter how much it is. That's not paid to the last day.
Okay, that seems like something James would do.
That's a James Holz thing.
That tracks.
You get in trouble if he sees that if you paid the note and interest, that's immediate, like
principal
we
only.
don't do that.
Principal only.
Because you don't pay interest on the interest.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. It's
true.
free.
That's true.
It's true.
It's a good point.
You just got to have enough money at the end to pay the interest. So I have to constantly remind him, hey, your interest payment's going to be pretty big.
Recently, it's been pretty big.
Save up. The interest is coming. Save up.
Do you pay interest every time?
Smoke doesn't pay the bills. He doesn't have any idea how it works.
It gets paid.
Yeah, like sell the cattle, pay the note off.
Your kneecaps aren't broke yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it works. No, I do not tell them to hold off. I'm like, sell the cattle, pay the note off. Get me a new one coming. Gonna need it.
Yeah. I think your life could be changed once you quit paying the interest until the last of the year.
Wait, you don't have to pay it till the end of the year?
Well, the end of the term of your
End
note.
of the term, yeah. I don't have like per group notes.
Oh,
Just
are
one
you a
big
farm credit?
operating.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a farm credit
Or
guy.
a bank.
So
Operating credit for life.
As long as you don't calc the interest by the minute, you're fine. But when you start calculating how much money that we've collectively paid since we've been recording this podcast, make you fucking sick. Again, I've done it time and it's not. I did to the second one time. That was very disappointing. Don't do that.
I don't think I would ever do that.
Why would you do such a thing? Why does your brain work that way?
I mean, it's the stuff that we do have notes on. Like you close out, you're like, my God, what it costs you.
I mean, it eats up 50% of your profit.
Great.
Half of what you made is just
You could almost
out the window.
Iowa State says that if you stay, cash to cash feeding cattle, that it's going to be like a 6 to 7% over the long haul return. You pay 6 to 7% interest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a break-even business. And really, I think that cattle feeding probably is only a 2% return business.
I think you're absolutely right.
James, how long have you been feeding cattle?
Oh, gosh. Me personally?
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the first group of cattle I fed.
Okay.
Personally, I think it was 2009.
How old would you have been in 2009?
22.
Okay.
I fed some in 2009, and I fed some with Matt Nelson. Him and I went to college, and Cresco, his dad has the Lanesboro decor barns.
Oh, yep. Joe Nelson.
Yep, Joe.
Okay.
He's got a nice feed yard up there. And so we were feeding a few up there, and I remember there was a group from Wisconsin that Joe had bought, and then my dad and uncle bought a group out of Georgia. We were placing 2 loads of cattle in 2 separate pens. He's like, well, which ones you want? And Matt's like, take those Wisconsin steers. They're way better. I was like, all right. So we bought the Wisconsin steers. Maybe heifers. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of the story. He had outside pens. It was in June or July. And a heat spell, like a bad heat spell came through. And I lost half of them.
Oh, no.
First time, lost half. My dad had these FGL cattle, Florida Georgia line cattle.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't go off feed. Like, they just kept on rocking. And, he made a ton of money. That was my first pen I fed. I think I lost 30 head And I think I lost $25,000, which was a lot of money when I probably only had 5. Joe felt horrible because it was like our first time through. He knew I didn't have any money. And then like the next year, he was putting me in some sweet deals. And so like that helps. And then like we'd run through the sale barn up at Lanesboro. And I'd always top the sale. And I don't think on accident because like Joe was helping me, you know, and they felt bad. It was a bad deal. And I remember I was with Matt and he's like, you know, you guys are going to laugh about this sometime. And I was like, I didn't really feel like I'm fucking laughing now, you know?
Exactly.
Now it doesn't really, you know, now I'm kind of laughing.
I mean, yeah. You also had a job.
I had a job.
I mean, like
I had a job at the time.
That wasn't your sole source of income. Like you had a full-time job.
Yeah.
And you were a single dude living in your parents' house. So
I had my own house.
it's your mom and dad's house.
Yeah, I mean, but I was living by myself. I was responsible adult.
Okay,
I don't
Megan,
know.
you did make it sound worse than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, his mom still cleaned it, I think. So
Yeah, well,
It
it was her property.
Smoke's mom
you know?
was still folding his underwear until I think I fully moved into this house. So
She was.
And I have no problem with it.
Zero shame. None. I remember I'd come home from trucking. Mom would have all my clean laundry waiting in the living room. I'd just drop my dirty stuff off, pick up the clean basket, throw it in the truck, and back on the road
Wow.
we went.
she really loves you.
She knew the importance of my job.
I remember my mom would say, hey, you know, like this is like a whole parent thing. If you're drinking too much, you can like just give me a call anytime and I'll pick you up. I was like, sweet. So I would be like, hey, I'm going to the bar. Pick me up at midnights. Or like, remember we went to that wedding and she picked us up? And I was like, hey, just pick us up for the wedding at 11. And then like I had to have a little conversation. She's like, yeah, you can't just...
Not every week.
you're
Not all the time. Like, am I going to be here sober drive?
this is not what I meant.
Yeah.
when I said that.
Yeah. Like, well, you...
She should have just signed up with Uber.
Yeah, exactly. You're the one that offered. Like with Megan, I remember this very vividly. Picked us up from this wedding. We were dating. It was in Boone. When your mom picks you up from the wedding reception, do you sit with your date in the back or do you sit in the front with your mom?
I feel like you sit in the front.
I sat in the front with my mom. Yeah, it's more awkward in the back.
I don't know how we're married. I really don't.
You were asking about cattle feeding?
Yeah.
Well, how did you get started?
Yeah, that's how I got started.
This is how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your first job out of college? What did you go to school for?
My major was general ag. I went to South Dakota State. So my goal was just to pass college. And I did. I remember my first semester, I got a 2.1. And my dad's like, so is that on academic probation? I said, no. He's like, that is awesome. Because he was so worried about it. He saved a little bit of money in one of those, what are those college funds?
529 plan.
He made sure that we front loaded it all in the first semester
Oh.
because he didn't have a lot of confidence there. He's like,
faith you're going to stick
yeah,
around.
exactly. He's like, let's use it all in the first semester because we don't know if we're going to make it to semester 2. But I made a semester. That was my second worst semester. Was my freshman year, first semester, and my last semester. I mean, because last semester you're like, you know, you're going out.
Yeah, you're on your
So
way
like,
out.
you're like, that's a 2.0 semester. You know,
And everything worked out fine.
everything worked out fine.
Okay,
yeah.
so what was your first job?
My first job, I worked for an ethanol plant in Ames called Hawkeye Gold, and I actually worked in Arthur, Iowa. I worked there for about 6 months, and then they were building an ethanol plant in Grand Junction, which is where we're from. And so I bailed on them there and went to work in Grand Junction. I was there for, I don't know, 4 years. That was actually my first job, was at Louis Dreyfus at Grand Junction.
And what did you do?
I was a grain merchant. So I'd talk to people, I'd sell feed, exported distillers grain, ran like a long distance truck, feed, sales.
Okay, this is a total side note, but we drove past a place the other day that was hauling EDGs in containers.
Oh, yeah.
We seen him loading the containers, and I was like, James used to do this when
Yeah.
he was at Louis Dreyfus. So
Yeah.
I do remember you telling me you used to haul to Kansas City.
Yep.
I believe.
And a little bit to Omaha and sometimes to Chicago. And they put it in containers. They put it on a rail car and then it goes to, I'd
Okay.
mostly sell to China and Vietnam.
So it goes on a rail car to be exported, basically. So
Yep.
then it goes from rail car to ship.
Yep. And they got like, I don't know how to explain it, but they pack a container into like a flat conveyor and they put like a bulkhead on the end of it, like a wood bulkhead. All these places are just run with prisoners. Then they make them shovel it in, essentially. And then they put it on a container and away it goes. Because, well, this is pre-tariffs. All of our goods come from Asia. So it might cost like, at the time when I was doing it, like it cost like $4,000 to take a container from Shanghai to Chicago. But it'd only take like $600 to go from Chicago to Shanghai. It's like a backhaul. You should learn about backhauls.
Okay.
Maybe James can teach you.
Yeah.
You're right.
What's the thing?
Hey, James.
What's the things I've been talking about lately? Like they would have worked, but so is the problem?
Usually trucking.
The freights. It's just
The freight
killer.
is the most
Freight.
expensive part of
Yeah,
anything
exactly.
we do. There is no doubt. I agree.
Another lesson that you two just recently learned just occurred to me. Are the size of the rail cars different, or did you guys just calculate?
No,
something
size of the
wrong?
rail cars are different. Yeah, before I was shipping jumbos, and then we shipped. This is kind of my fault. Yeah, well, it is. What was my fault?
Okay, so there was this load of cover crop we hauled.
Yep.
That went to the rail, and
Well, we were doing it last summer,
yeah,
and we were doing it like with leased cars. Like I found my own rail cars. This time I had to buy them from the railroad.
That's why it was so effed up again this last time.
Yeah, because I didn't have any control of them.
Let's go back to the first time we decided to load a rail car. James calls and he's like, we're going to load a rail car. It's supposed to be here. I don't remember what it was. We're just going to say, for example, this rail car is going to be here Monday. Let's get to the farm. Let's get this hopper loaded so we can be sitting at the rail yard. When that rail car shows up, we're going to get unloaded, get back to the farm, reload. We only got so long to load this rail car.
Yeah, you only have 48 hours.
You only have 48 hours to load this rail car. So you really want to be prepared.
What was your dad's quote that I just read down there? Don't let your lack of planning.
Yeah.
How's that go?
Lack of planning on your end does not then
constitute an emergency on my part.
constitute an emergency.
I was planning. Let's just be clear.
Yeah. So we do. We go and load the hopper. We're like, all right, gonna stick it on the rail car. 3 weeks later.
Was it 3 weeks?
The first time, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, man.
It
This
was like,
last one was only a week.
okay, we're loaded. Oh, the rail car's not there yet. And then it wasn't there. And then it was like, okay, James, well, I'm going to go ahead and drop this trailer.
Well, I mean, that's just a point for the trucking industry, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
rail, you're on the mercy of the railroad, right?
Oh,
like,
totally.
their
So
schedule.
I feel like you probably more than me, but learned a lot how the rail actually works. You know, and one thing I found crazy was you had told me, like, when you order a rail car, it's not like trucking. Like, you know, we're always swapping trucks last minute. Like, oh, this would work better to send this truck here. But when you order that car, that's the car you get. They assign you to a car, and it doesn't matter where it's at in the United States. You have to wait for it to get to you.
And
like,
they do not care how fast it gets to you.
Like,
They don't care about your timeline.
that is your car. When you order a car, they assign you to a car, and that's the one you get. You have got to wait for that car to get to you.
Especially when you're just like a guy that
Yeah, I'm
gets
just a
2
nobody.
cars a year.
I mean, maybe if you guys knew more people or something, you would have a little more pull.
So we had a supper with the NS, which was the rail company we ship on. And we had the dinner with, she was like their regional sales VP. And we were telling her that we shipped these rail cars. And she's like, what? You made it through the bureaucracy and you were able to do this? She was shocked. She was like, you were able to actually ship on our system? Like, I was just going to take you to dinner. Like, I didn't actually expect you to, like, actually be able to successfully do it. But we did. We've done lots of rail cars now. And we just did one, last week?
Yep.
2 weeks ago?
Yep.
It was a mild wreck.
I think this is actually where the conversation started.
Yeah.
Is you get a phone call. My truck's down there unloading on the rail yard. Rail car's full. Oh, yep. Hang on a second. James is calling on the other line. Hey, James, car's full. Yep. I know. How much is left? Nope. Click back over. Is like, how much is left? I'll send you a picture. He sends me a picture. I'm like, the whole fucking bunch.
Lots left. Then it's like scramble mode.
Yeah.
like,
Don't worry, it's still sitting in her place.
you kind of, yeah, it is in a wagon, right?
Yeah.
But you kind of thrive off that. I feel like if stuff goes right, You don't know how to operate
Well,
sometimes.
I'd like it to go right.
I don't know, but you like last minute plans and changes. And I don't know, you just thrive off of that. I don't.
If you like last minute plans, I will start letting you take the phones after 5
No.
p.m. when sale barn loads start rolling.
I want nothing to do with that.
Because I'm telling you, you want to talk about disasters, and then 7 o'clock next morning, everybody's calling, hey, how's that load from wherever it may be coming along? Well, I don't know. Probably not very good. It's probably just getting loaded. It's only been 12 hours since you called me about it.
Yeah.
I want to know more about putting DDGs in a container.
Yep.
Do they feed it across?
So,
these?
yeah. So it goes all on a container via this conveyor belt and truck. And then it goes on a rail car. They're double stacked. You see them run by Carol. And then they go to like a big like Port of LA or San Diego.
Right.
They have these huge cranes and they put them on the ship, whatever container company. Then they get delivered to port. They got to go through like the port of entry stuff. So then they take them off port and they put them on their truck, like a dray trailer. You've seen the trailers that look like there's nothing there and there's like 2 tires in the back and it's like, that's a dray trailer. They put them on the dray trailer and then they ship them to wherever they go. And then they shovel it out and put it in 50-pound bags and distribute it. It all goes in 50-pound bags or 100-pound bags. I don't know how big the bags are. It's all shoveled out by hand for the most part.
I think it's just the most interesting part is how do they get the container full? I mean, with that header?
Yeah. And you got to use like special wood for
Suppose it's on there
treated
for
like
2 months.
Well, it's not so much that. It's like they don't want the bugs from here to get in. Like,
Oh,
it's expensive wood. I'll tell you that.
okay.
A lot of grain goes that way. A lot. And you think the rail cars are an SOB? We would ship DDGs. It'd say go to Kansas City and they'd be like, well, there's no containers here. You'd have trucks there and be like, well, there's no containers. Like, what do you mean there's no containers? Well, Hallmark was supposed to get a bunch of greeting cards in and they're not in. And so figure it out. Could be here tomorrow. They could be here in an hour. They could be here in a month. And that's how that world works. And so then you have to like scramble because you have these load trucks with time clocks on them. And then you have to figure out what to do with all the DDGs. Yeah, so I did that.
So then, say you're in Kansas City, what do you do? Do you call Omaha or Council Bluffs or
No, because they're probably out of containers too. So like you find a feed mill, you take them to a feed lot, like you just start trying to find somewhere to go with them.
It's called a deal.
Yeah, like I got a deal.
Uh-huh.
Containers didn't show up in Kansas City. Well, let's sit them for a day and pay to merge. The containers were tough because you try to match. You basically sold in 40 container units, so 1,000 metric tons. Container holds 25 metric tons roughly. And so then you sell 1,000 metric tons. And so you have to get about 45 trucks or so. That was actually the easy part. The hard part is you would have all these like roadblocks on imports. Hey, you didn't have this right cert done. Or this isn't right, or that's not right, or your test is just off a little bit where like they'll let you in, but we'll take a $10 discount. When you deal with these Asian countries, they're always trying to like just nickel and dime you to get a deal. I remember we were trading a vessel or something to China and I was dealing with someone. He's like, I can't tell you why I need you to go to this port, but you need to reorder the containers so they go to this other port. Well, I assume because they're bribing that port and they're not bribing the port I was going in. So then they'd make it through the process easier. There's a lot of things that go wrong. You deal with rail and ships. My fear, and it never happened to me. What happens when one of them falls off on the ocean? Because that happens. I assume that the container company is liable. I assume. But that seems like a horrible way to claw back your money.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like it's one load of feed. How much is a load of feed these days? How much is a load of DDGs?
Oh, not that much.
We were just talking about this, how the feed cost used to be such a big part of cattle, but
feed doesn't matter anymore. What, it takes $600-700 to fatten a steer? They're worth $3,000.
It's nominal.
It's like 1/4, not even.
Right.
20% of the value of the steer is feed. We used to feed bagged rejected flour. Do you remember that? You remember when our bunkers filled with all that bagged flour? We used to have bagged flour.
I don't.
We used to do all these dumb stuff, and now it's like, it's cheap.
This is the cheap part
Yeah.
of feeding.
If the corn's a dime more expensive, you're going to be like, well, I'm not going to feed there because the corn's a dime more expensive. Well, you don't even care. You don't even look at it.
That's not affecting the bottom line anymore.
No. Like a dime used to matter.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't.
Okay, so you were working a full-time job, got into feeding cattle. When did
Yep.
you make the switch?
I don't know. Well, long story, but it was just time for me to either take the corporate gig or start farming, essentially. I was getting married. Yeah, we were dating.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I already decided we're getting married. So
news to me.
You
Fair
had
enough.
already made
Yeah.
that decision.
yeah, I admit. I mean, so like the decision was made.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just decided to start.
Have you guys grown your cattle operation?
Yeah, we probably were feeding probably 1,000 head. And I mean, you can't really tell it when you go into our place, but we've like added a lot of cement. We have more cattle in every yard.
You have not trimmed trees.
We did trim trees. We lost a bunch in the derecho.
I was going to say the duration of trim the trees.
We did.
I haven't got
by
a
choice. Mother Nature made us.
I haven't got a tree trim. We had emerald ash borer trim some trees. I haven't got a tree branch complaint in a long time. I didn't come here to get razzed about the trees. I don't even think they brush the trailers anymore.
Is that what you started with? Roughly, you think is 1,000
probably
head?
1,000. And yeah, so we got double that, almost triple that now.
Yeah, that's really expanded.
Yeah, but you can't really see it.
You don't.
You
No,
know, it doesn't look like
because now you got the pasture.
well, that doesn't include the pasture. That's just at home.
Okay.
So yeah, we've added some dirt pens, and we've added cement to the other pens so we can have more cattle in them. We have all cement pens. We scrape them.
Your pens are all cement.
Yep, except for like 2.
Like the entire pen?
Yeah, the entire pen.
Do you like that?
When it rains, I like that. When it doesn't rain, when it rains, it's nice. When it doesn't rain, like the dirt pens are awesome, but
Right.
we have no slope, and so like we're really flat. So when it rains, the smoke knows. The water just sits. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't run off. And we've also added capacity in a different way. We used to feed all heifers. You remember we used to have heifers. And now like we've almost transitioned almost entirely to steers now. We have 1 pen of heifers right now, which I think like adding steers is kind of like it's adding inventory. It's adding weight. So like you can expand through like adding steers kind of easily.
It's a good point.
If the pen can fit 300, we should have 300 because it's going to cost you the same amount of money to feed 100 as it does 300.
Right. Like you're starting the tractor anyway.
You're starting the tractor.
So
Your fixed costs are the same.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. When I first got out of Dreyfus, I built a feed yard, like a tiny feed yard.
And then fed some custom lots, had people feeding for you, but you're kind of out of most of those.
I'm out of those in Iowa. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have any in Iowa other than our place right now.
Gotcha.
But that could change tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, when I start thinking about all the places we fed here, we've fed a lot of places at Carroll. I'd say like probably 25% of them.
We've figured out better ways to use our capital than feeding in custom lots. So you do less of that. We do more backgrounding and
Right.
pasture work. So that's we deployed our capital where we're doing the labor. Not really us, because it's less intensive on pasture.
We're running yearlings now. That's like that's where we're deploying our capital.
Yeah.
And we just bought another farm. We're going to start running yearlings. We're turning Iowa farmland into grass.
Ooh.
I can go all day long about it. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. I think Iowa's the most competitive place to be running steers, personally, or cows or anything. If you take a poor-ish Iowa farm, okay, we just bought one, and it's $7,000 an acre. It's a low CSR farm. It's not the best farm. But like if you look at the cows per acre, the acre cost per cow compared to like Western South Dakota, it's way cheaper to run them on grass here. Like grass here is dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. You buy $7,000 to $10,000 farm here. Let's say it costs $10,000. $10,000. And you convert it into grass. And you can run 1 cow to an acre. $10,000 per cow, right? Per year. All right, South Dakota, you buy a ranch, it's going to cost $12.50 an acre, and you can run 15 to 20 acres per cow.
Okay.
So it's costing you $20,000 a cow there.
Yep.
Like we're way more competitive. This might be the most competitive place in the whole nation to be running cows.
You're not saying turn every flat 40 into pasture. The model that we've done is take farms that they shouldn't have been farmed in the first place.
Right.
They should be pasture land. That's what we've looked for in farms because they're often overlooked by other people in our area because they don't have cattle.
People just don't want to graze.
And I don't
Cattle.
understand why. Because they haul the manure for you. They eat. You don't have to do chores. You can put on a boots or whatever and be a cowboy if you want to. I mean, it's
Get a
pretty.
horse.
We just planted this farm that we bought, and it has all kinds of point rows, which I don't know if you know what point rows are, like, you know, where they come together. A cow doesn't care if it's a terrace or if it's square. She's just going to graze, right? And the farm economy is like, you look at the price of everything. You have price of cattle that are, let's just say $2. You have price of corn at $4.75, right? Well, when I was buying corn at Dreyfus in 2009, the price of corn was, $5, $4.75. Hasn't gone up at all. Zero. Hasn't gone up. Price of cattle have gone up $130. And so, like, you have one thing that people want that we import 20% of, beef, and you have another thing, corn, that we have a 1.8 billion bushel carryout. Why are you producing something that nobody wants?
Not only has the corn stayed the same price, the cattle have gone up, but what has the price of land done since 2009? And you are selling your corn for the same amount.
Same price for land and all the inputs. A tractor in 2009, I don't know what a tractor would cost, but I bet they're $100,000 more expensive.
Oh,
Seed, chemical, everything more expensive. Well, what are your inputs if you run a steer? I run steers on grass. What are your inputs? Okay. Fence. Amortization of 40 years. 30. Let's say 20 if you like treat it like shit. Okay. What else? You got to check them so you got a little gas. The most expensive cost I have,
The gator.
and then buying pops at Sparky's because they cost $1.25 cans. Isn't that ridiculous? That's like one of my biggest line item expenses. So I can go around and around about the economics. I would love to go around and around about the economics because I'd win. So that's where we're deploying capital today. And that's what we're really excited about.
I love that. Your brain just works different.
it does. Tell yourself
Different.
whatever you want, man.
I am a very type A, black and white. This is what we're doing. So I'm the executor. So he comes up with all these dreams and ideas, and then I end up having to make some of them happen.
Yep.
But that's how it works.
We're organic farmers now. So we're farming organic. That's our new kind of venture.
We have
So-
40 acres certified.
No, not this
Well,
year. We had 200 this year.
Oh, okay, it's not stamped yet.
Yeah, that's close.
It's not in the database.
What is
So-
organic?
Corn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did corn.
Because-
Organic corn.
Guess what?
Is there a demand for organic corn?
United States imports organic corn from China. Isn't that crazy? And India. And organic soybeans. It's like, okay, well, we're bringing in organic grains from India and China, and we raise all these things here. The market's there.
Yeah, that was one of our goals 6 years ago. I mean, we sat
We
down.
wrote
and
'em down.
We did some goals, and one of them was to be organic. Not fully, but we wanted to do half. Did we say half? Half of our acres organic, just because, I don't know, you get sick of paying big ag for the chemicals. And I mean, it just felt
Yeah.
like a lot of,
Don't you ever
a lot of-
get sick of paying Peterbilt for all the overpriced parts?
Well, this is the first year I've ever set a goal.
what?
What's your goal?
What was your goal?
Well, I feel like you and Missy pounded. You need to set goals.
Yeah, we do, but I didn't think you listened.
So what was your goal?
Well, initially my goal was I had about 1,200 head of my own on feed, and I wanted to just small goals, like be up to 15. It's not going to happen this year. It's almost going to be fucking impossible.
And I'm up to 700.
Yeah, right. And have spent more money, but I also wanted to, we were like hovering around 17, 18 trucks, and I wanted to be above 20.
Yep.
Also not the year for it. It just,
Well, and
But
and
that could be a
sometimes
5-year goal.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Right.
have to.
I mean, this is your first time setting a goal. We just need to work on your timeline now.
right. But I thought they were small enough goals to hit. And it's not the year for
all
it.
you gotta do is borrow money and make both those goals tomorrow.
The year's not even half over yet. Have you met you?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a lot
but
of time. We're not even one quarter.
I'll bet we have anywhere between 5 and 10 people a week call looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So finding help is
Easy.
not the issue.
Yeah.
And just every day it's like, what am I going to do to keep these guys busy? And it's like a daily, you wake up just beating your head.
Well, and the problem is there's no good rateable business. even like me, which, I'm not a big customer, but a customer, but it's like I'm going to have 5 this week, 10 next week, 10 the following week, nothing for 2 months.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
Yep. It's not steady
Yeah.
enough.
And that's the same with all of the guys at the same scale as you. I mean, it's just kind of a seasonal business, which is
I would
tough.
like to be more rateable, but that's hard.
It is.
And especially now our program with the grass cattle, it would be nearly impossible to be rateable.
The next issue with my goals is it all has to do with trucking or ag. And both of those work back and forth. So if cattle are high, trucking's slow. Or however you want to put it. If trucking's slow.
And you might just be working against there's just less cattle.
There is way less cattle.
So there's nothing, last cattle on feed, we're 200,000 less on feed. Those 200,000 less that get trucked somewhere.
There's just less cattle out there.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy a couple weeks ago. They mainly haul pigs. And he's like, I was always doing, a typical week was 12 or 13 loads here, 12 or 13 loads here, different ends of the country. I was like, well, where are they?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they're dead. I'm like, oh, yeah. Everything got a disease 6 months ago. Everybody depopped their sow farms.
Oh, sure. That's probably why those feeder pigs are so expensive.
It is. It's a chain reaction.
Well, even me, I bet you I'm off 300 to 500 head on my whole account. So I'm just running out of money.
Exactly. Got a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
100%.
Or maybe I'm just losing my risk tolerance. I don't think I've lost my risk tolerance. I think I might have lost my risk tolerance with cattle.
Well, I think sometimes it's just, since we have the seed business and we have cattle, sometimes it's just frustrating to see we put all this money into cattle and the return is just the same.
It stays the same. It doesn't get higher. You're using more
and it's
capital.
A lot of work. It's 365 days a year, every day, twice a day. I told James the other day, I was like, it's not necessarily a lifestyle that you would maybe go out of your way to sign up for, right? Just being honest. And so sometimes it's hard to sit there and be like, oh yeah, I want to really go more into cattle when we have another business too that is doing well. And it has a whole different set of opportunities in front of it.
Challenges and fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But has our risk tolerance gone down? Maybe I'm off 300 or 500 head, but maybe my risk tolerance is higher. Smoke and I were talking about this the other day. In 2020, where were we selling fat cattle for in June of 2020? Because we looked it up. Smoke didn't believe me. 80 cents. We've gotten up $1.20-ish. $1.30 in 5 years.
80 cents in 2020.
Yeah, we were buying 9 weights for 10 something.
We were paying less than $1,000 for 900-pound steer.
Oh, yeah. Just laying into them. Our risk tolerance has actually gone up.
Especially if you got the same on feed.
Close to. I mean, theoretically, I should have half. If I was feeding 1,000 head of cattle in 2020, I should only have 500.
Okay, this one's for Megan. How did you make the transition out of your corporate job?
Well, I am a CPA. I worked in external auditing for a while in Omaha, and then I went into internal auditing in Des Moines for a very large bank where I was, let's say, middle management. And I think we just got to the point where I had some kids. I'm working all these hours because I'm a very type A. If I have a job, I'm going to do it 110%. And got to the point where it was if I'm going to work 110%, I'm going to do it for our own family businesses. And where we're starting to get to a point where he needed a better bookkeeper in a lot of businesses.
Yeah. How many sets of books do you run?
8.
That's impressive.
I think I need a bookkeeper. I need to hire a bookkeeper. But the transition was really hard. It was really, really hard. You go from talking to executives and having these high-level meetings and feeling important. Then I'm, trying to track down a scale ticket from a trucker.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel humbled. It was an ego thing. So
absolutely.
It was hard to make the transition. These aren't businesses I started. I said I execute a lot of them. They become more of my own businesses now, but I didn't come up with the idea, but I put a lot of my own equity into it.
She basically runs Iowa Cover Crop now.
With a lot of help.
Facebook tells the stories.
I know.
Do you feel the same as Smoke about social media? Megan does a fabulous job with Iowa Cover
she
Crop
does
social
good.
media.
So on our business, Iowa Cover Crop, we have a lot of retail business. So we had to be in front of people as much as possible.
I I mean, and that's different than the family farm, the cattle feeding. That's not something.
No one wants to see our
Yeah,
feed
we
yard.
don't. I mean,
I don't like to take tours there.
I don't like to live there sometimes. But yeah, that's been different operating a retail business where we are forward facing. And James and Bill did a good job at marketing before I even got there. But it was we did a lot of mailers. It's kind of like a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just is. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
I think when you do your mailbox walks, I'd be like, man, I just want to walk to the mailbox without Facebook. That's how I would think about it.
So I'm a CPA. I'm not a marketer, right? But I'm a creative accountant. I'm not creative in my accounting, but I'm creative. So I've done a lot of marketing classes and things. And one thing they taught me is you just need to think of it like a chore. Like there's so many other aspects in your business that you have to do every day. You have to pay the bills. You have to schedule the employees, but you have to market it or it's not going to be successful either. So you just got to put it on the checklist.
How do most your customers, obviously I just call you and here's what I got this week, right? Like here's my schedule.
Yep.
Do some customers decide on a whim who they're going to use, or do they like have a trucking firm already like, this is who does it?
James, a lot of people are like you. Like last week, you text me, you're like, shit.
Did you remember those feeder?
We were loading feeders in Oklahoma today.
Oklahoma, that's where they're at, yeah.
Did you have a truck? I go, yeah, they're probably not that far from your house. And I feel like there's a lot of it like that.
So I'm not the only guy that does that?
No, people just call you. And we're dealing with farmers, so people call me. And I mean, I have scratch papers. Every car we drive, but I scratch it down as I'm driving. And when I get home, I hopefully remember to write it down. That's how that works.
The minute I get a delivery, I get it to you because I want to take that liability off
your plate. Yeah.
Put it on to you.
Yep.
It's like, well, if I forget, it's not my problem. Smoke's problem.
But there has been a situation we've got an 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Not recently.
Fat hogs, Waterloo.
Oh, yeah. That was like a year ago. They didn't die, though. Not that many of them.
Nope.
No, they didn't. It was
didn't.
hot.
It was hot. That trucker kept them alive somehow.
Kudos to him.
All right.
See, I must have bad memory of the bad deals because I don't remember that.
Just too much. That's how your risk tolerance got so high.
It's like, I don't remember this bad deal. How do you remember
Because it only cost you $30,000.
Yeah.
Not $300,000.
Yeah, those hogs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you could have lost the whole load and it wouldn't have been a super huge.
I mean, it would have sucked.
That was the whole theory in getting into it. Was,
right.
We could lose them all and it's really not that big a deal.
Yep.
All right, should we wrap it up?
We should.
Okay. All right.
We're done.
Let's go. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Rural Dispatch. I hope you found something valuable to take back to your own operation. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. You can keep up with me between episodes on socials at Barons & Co. or join our email list on our website to get new episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Wednesday. Until next time, keep those wheels turning. We'll talk soon.